Okay, welcome everybody. Welcome to today's presentation this morning or this afternoon, depending on your time zone. We're going to continue our discussion around the Autodesk solutions, and today we're actually going to extend that discussion to advanced capabilities that we can apply with Vault and coolOrange. This is George Wright with the M2 team, and at this moment I'm going to turn it over to the coolOrange team to continue with the presentation. Thank you so much, and I really do hope you enjoy the webinar.
Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good.
Yes.
Great, thank you. So thank you to our friends at M2 for hosting this opportunity for their customers to learn a little bit more about coolOrange. Let's see here. Looking to advance the slide. Sorry about that. So just a couple of introductions. I want to introduce Milt Kapsamalis, who will be presenting fairly quickly. And Milt, he started as a graphics developer, claims to have made the early CAD world safe for 3D. He joined the AutoCAD development team in 1989 when Autodesk was had acquired Ithaca software. And since then, he's written CAD and PDM software, managed development and business development teams, and sat on the World Wide Web Consortium. And now he heads up coolOrange North American operations. And myself, Nancy Sabati, I've been in the software industry for over 20 years, serving in marketing roles and sales roles, and have recently joined coolOrange, and very excited to be helping spread the word amongst the Autodesk community. So just a little bit about coolOrange. The company is based out of Lana, Italy, and with offices in Germany in the Bay Area. And the company was founded by a number of former Autodesk employees who were product managers, product designers, and developers from the Autodesk data management team. And in addition to having worked at Autodesk on the data management products, coolOrange has also been partnering with resellers to deliver solutions for Vault customers around the world. As you can see, we've been in business for 10 years and working with resellers and executing over 700 projects to date. The point being that we've got proven solutions and an established network of resellers around the world. And again, we're very excited to be partnering with M2 so that we can bring these solutions to their customers as well. So today what we're going to be talking about is an overview of the coolOrange tools specific to loading data into a Vault system, enhancing your Vault workflows by automating some of the manual tasks and adding business logic to them, as well as how to connect Vault to your business systems, ERP systems or other business systems. So the point is to invest in technology that's going to help you reduce costs and increase productivity and reduce errors. So I'm assuming that many, if not all of you, are using Vault to manage your engineering data and documentation today to also improve collaboration across the organization and help control your development processes. So clearly there's an advantage of having Vault developers and Autodesk development partners create this tool set that we're going to be talking about today, because they're familiar with the architecture, and the tool set is designed in such a way that customizations isn't going to cause any compatibility problems, with moving forward with newer releases of Vault. So the reason that this team came together 10 years ago and developed this tool set was because there were some things lacking in the Autodesk Vault system. So even though it offers lots of advantages in terms of managing your engineering data, they can be very challenging for many Vault customers to have the skill sets required to customize the API, whether that's to create some customized workflows or to connect your vault with an ERP system, or even in the tools that Autodesk provides to load data into Vault. So these are the three areas that coolOrange has focused on in kind of filling in a gap, if you will, with the current version of the Autodesk system. So with this, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Milt Kapsamalis, and he'll take you through an overview of the tools that we currently offer. So give me a minute here while I change the presenter.
I think I'm presenting now, Nance.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay, so at coolOrange, as Nancy said, we've built a set of tools that essentially surround the Autodesk data management and CAD portfolio with sort of the things you need to round out the solution in the real world. And we essentially break them into three portions of your sort of overall life cycle of dealing with the Autodesk data management solutions. Not surprisingly, that often starts with loading your data. So our things go from loading the data in the first place to a set of tools that enhance the things that you can do when your data is in the Vault solution. And then the sort of last thing you need to do is connect the system to other systems, things like ERP. So I'll walk through really sort of at a high level the portfolio of products that we have that fit into these three categories, okay? So not surprisingly, it's not that useful to set up a Vault system if you can't get your data into it. The tools that come with the Vault product from Autodesk out of the box can work best if you're starting essentially from scratch, if you don't have data in place already. Mostly, that's not the real world. They do provide some simple tools for loading folders worth of files into the Vault, but they don't come with sort of it doesn't come with a really rich suite of tools for getting you started with Vault if you already have a non-trivial corpus of data. So we built a set of tools that allow you to do certain things that are not easy to do with the sort of built-in tools, including things like loading your data up if you already have version history managed somewhere else, loading from another system. So if you're running an old PDM system from a previous era that you really want to get off of, we give you tools for getting off of that system, but capturing all the data that you've collected in there over the years and moving that forward into your nice new clean Vault. And then we have a whole set of tools that are related for doing things like merging. Say you have a set of vaults that are in different divisions, and you finally decided you want everyone to work together in a more tightly coordinated fashion. We have some tools for doing that as well. And then you can work with sort of a hybrid of any of these situations. So the fundamental piece of this is a set of tools that we've built that we call our BCP Toolkit. For those of you who've seen this technology before, Vault does define a format for the import and export of bulk data as a whole Vault definition into Vault and export it out of Vault. It's called the BCP. The utility that they give you is called the Data Transfer Utility, DTU. It's very difficult to wield. It doesn't have any real intelligence in it. It just makes a big dump of all the data that's in your Vault. In fact, it's a huge wad of XML files. it's obviously not an easy way to manipulate your data. So we've built a set of tools that take that information that's in one of those things, or create one of those BCP packages from other data that you have in other places. And this is coolOrange. We build our technologies on top of .NET. So it's essentially a toolkit with scripting capabilities that allows you to take one of these packages, load it into an offline intermediate representation of that data. And this is sort of our secret sauce, right? So we load this thing into a utility, into a database where you can manipulate the data in any way you want, and the tools know how to keep it in a form where we know we can turn it again into a valid vault and then load it up again. So in this environment, you can load millions of records at a time, literally in seconds. You know, for a database you can work on your laptop and load, many records. Whereas actually doing an operation like that inside a vault is very slow. And in that environment, because you essentially have access to this thing as an offline database, you can do things like merge in other kinds of metadata, or restructure the structure of what was the vault, right? Move your folders around, rename things, add categories, clean out things that you decide you don't want anymore. All that is done offline, outside of Vault, in a set of easy to use tools. And then at the end, we create one of those packages again, and you push the button using the Autodesk, official utility to finally load it back into a nice clean Vault. All of that this essentially gives you the ability to do just about anything with your data before you have to put it in a vault, which is transactional and slow, and sort of more cumbersome to manipulate. So the basic idea is that we give you the way that you can load up a vault, retaining things like version and revision history. You can add an extra metadata. You can restructure your data, but all this in an environment that's much more efficient and much more flexible than trying to do it inside a vault. The way we do these projects, we'll do a little analysis of your current data. We'll make a plan for how you want your final data to look like. Very often, you'll have done that with your M2 team. They'll have helped you define what your beautiful vault should look like, and then it's just a mapping exercise to take your current environment, clean it all up, and move it in there. So the next set of things that we do fall into what we call the enhanced category, and this is now we've got a running vault. You've got your information in it. Hopefully, you've set up a nice, clean set of lifecycle states, and you know how you want your design and document release workflows to go. And when you analyze what you do, you'll realize that, well, there's a whole bunch of things that you do all the time, over and over again. Every time you release, you make a PDF of this file, and you name it after the project name, and put it in a folder named after the customer. And then you have to export a set of other documents to some other location. We built a product called Power Jobs, which is a scripting tool that allows you to write, or your M2 technical person to help you write, really simple, essentially batch files that take the steps that you would do manually, put them in a little script, and then they'll run on the Autodesk Vault job processor, which is an extension to the Vault that you can install. Typically you conceivably can install it on the Vault machine itself, but what we usually recommend is you install it on a dedicated machine that sits next to it. And then all these manual tasks that you find yourself doing over and over and over again, you write a little script and it does it automatically. The idea here is that you're saving yourself from making mistakes, you're saving yourself from doing repetitive work, and you're avoiding the cost that comes with you know, both wasting your time or forgetting to do the work in the first place. We have another utility which is similar, except that it allows you to write little bits of scripting that run on the client. So either in the Vault client, if you're using the Vault client on your desktop, or in the plugin in whichever CAD app you're using, AutoCAD or Inventor, etc. And the idea here is that there are things that while you're doing things, like the most common thing is I'm about to check in a new version of my file. I might want to check and make sure that before I do that, I have a couple of simple rules I need to put in, where I say you have to have used the new template, and if not, I want to pop up a little dialog box that tells the user, hang on, don't check that in yet. You can't check that in yet. You've got to change to the new drawing template. Just that simple. That winds up being, you know, 3 steps in a little script, just to make sure it's true. Now you can do more complicated things, which we often do. Sometimes we'll write a script that cleans up the file folders, you know, after you do your check-in, and does, you know, 3 or 4 other things just to make sure your environment's clean. All of this is just, the idea is that we can write a simple, essentially little batch file that does the things that you should remember to do every time. So, you know, these 2 things wind up working together nicely to automate things that you often have to do by hand, right? So if you think through what, and everyone has some variation of one of these scenarios. You go to do, say, your drawing release, right? I'm at the end, I'm ready, I release my drawing. But then I have to make a PDF of the drawing that is going to be sent, say, off to the customer. So that one's got to be, it's got to have certain sheets in it, and it's got to be named after the customer or named after the project, with a, you know, a suffix for the date, and then put in a folder that's on a shared drive that's named after, you know how this goes. The same thing with, I maybe have to publish a DXF flat pattern file to another share that's going to be used by, you know, the fellow with the sheet metal bending machine. Then, you know, maybe I have to check those back in so I have them next time. And at the very end, I send an email out to whoever the project team is, and I have the list of those users somewhere in the project folder. All this can be done really simply in scripts that essentially look like step-by-step automation of each step that you would do manually. We give templates for sort of the common versions of these, but in the end, what you're going to do is you're going to sit down with your M2 person and go through your workflow, and they'll help you say, okay, so you do this, you do this, you do this, you do this. Let's automate it, put it in a little script, run it automatically every time, so nobody ever forgets. All right. And in the end, you wind up with a little thing that runs on this other machine, job processor. So when all you have to do is change your drawing to release, and then automatically on the server, Vault wakes up and says, oh, you released the drawing. Okay, good. It'll run the script. It'll say, okay, make that PDF and the DXF and put it over there, and we'll copy the DXF over there and send out the email to the team. Every time, automatically. No, you don't have to do it by hand. You'll never forget. No one will ever get mad at you because you ran home on Friday afternoon after you finished the thing thinking you were done, and you forgot to send the file over to one or another of the people who was expecting it, and then Monday morning they come in. So why does this matter? There's sort of 2 reasons, but the least important reason is actually that it saves you from wasting time on, you know, doing manual work. You know, making a drawing is a lot of work. Making a design is a lot of work. You'll say, okay, so it's a couple extra steps at the end that I have to do. So it's not that big a deal to automate it. But the real issue comes in when you think of what could happen depending on what environment you're working in if you forget, right? Or if you make a mistake. You this is not an uncommon scenario, particularly in manufacturing environments, where if you forget to say, save the new, say you're doing your design as something that's cast, and you really needed to save the new mold over somewhere, or the update that in some other person's shared drive. And they come in on Monday and they make the thing using the wrong mold, and then you have this this thing that gets created happily and sent to the customer. The customer gets it, and they're looking at it going, this is not what I ordered, right? The engineer did the work to do the redesign, but somewhere in this lack of communication, you wound up making something that costs, I don't know, $100,000, right? That now you have to take back, and hopefully you can maybe machine it, but probably it's going to be a boat anchor, right? That's what we're trying to avoid, right? So the real thing is what happens if the real value in this is that you can take things that you need to do all the time perfectly and get it scripted out so it happens automatically on a server machine that's running in the back room next to your vault, and you'll never forget and you'll never make a mistake. That's the value in this. Common scenarios for this, as I said, the most common thing is that at the end of one of your processes, you have to publish some variation of your drawings or your CAD files or what have you, possibly in different formats, maybe restructured a little bit, probably renamed, probably put in a couple of different places, right? Also, the same kind of scripting allows you to do things like send out a quick email, right? There's some email notification capabilities built into Vault now, but it doesn't allow you to do things like interrogate, the customer name or the list of people who participated and use that to build the email list, or, construct the actual email based on data information that's in your Vault. With these scripts, you can do that really easily. When you write one of these scripts, you take the step that says send an email, and right there you have available all the properties in say that project folder. So you can do things like pull the customer name, pull the list of engineers who were assigned, or the manager who's assigned, and add them to the email list. And it's a couple of lines of PowerShell script. Smart printing is the same thing. You can do things like look at the project folders so you know which printer to send the thing to, or how to print it and where. Or even if you want to fire up, like 3D printing files and send that off to somewhere else. All those things are really simple. The idea being that we built this layer so that you take the sort of underlying job processor and Vault APIs, which are complicated and difficult to code to, and we wrap them in a set of interfaces so that you can call them using PowerShell, which is essentially, if you're an IT person, you probably know it. It's the modern day batch file language for the Microsoft environment. Really, really simple to use. And we make it so you can use that to do things that otherwise you would have to call down in using C# code or Visual Basic code to talk to a really painful Vault API. Anyway, so the last piece of our sort of wrappering of the Vault data management environment are our Connect capabilities. So we have a product called PowerGate, which sets itself up as a bidirectional gateway attached to your Vault server that makes it so that your Vault server can talk to other kinds of systems, both speak to it and listen to it. So the common scenario is the RP, right? It's not the only scenario. We connect to other kinds of document management systems, etc. But the classic integration scenario for a Vault PDM environment is to connect the things like bill of materials, the same kinds of documents we were just talking about publishing to shared drives. You often want to take some version of those files and send them over so that they're attached to the bill of materials or attached to the individual material objects over in your ERP system, right? Commonly, this will be done either at the end of a release process or even synchronized step by step during release process, so that the people who are working with some piece of that information, how many parts do you think we have to order, etc., but are not CAD users, will see some of this information. And maybe more interestingly, there will be the idea that you, working in a nice clean vault environment, can see information that lives in the ERP system that you're not really responsible for, but you may want to know. The other thing we can do is we can coordinate processes. So if, for example, your entire vault design and release process that you're going to run on a, say a new revision of an existing product, or to create a new product, a new project, is actually driven by, say, a sales order that comes in. Well, in that case, we can set up through this gateway where when a new, say, an engineering work order comes in, or a new sales order of some kind, the ERP system can call through the interface and ask Vault to set up a new project, put the correct information in it, assign it to someone in Vault, and then they'll see it in their list of projects. And then they work through the process in there. When they're done, it goes back and tells, say, SAP, here's your new bill of materials for this thing. It's all done, and here's a bunch of documents to stick in the document store over there as PDFs, say. It's bidirectional. It runs in the back, so you don't have to stay connected as an end user. All the coordination and communication is handled server to server out the back end. We've done connections to myriad systems at this point. Most commonly are these, your sort of standard ERP systems that show up in our manufacturing customer base. One little just illustration of what the world looks like if you have your system connected. In a normal Vault user experience, you work with your CAD designs and your project folders, etc., and your whole world is structured, I think, efficiently for someone who is working on engineering designs. The nice thing is that we build this in such a way that in the client, if you'll notice, the tabs there in the UI for a part are actually extended from the default that you would see in Vault. It may have jumped out at you, it may not have. So if you look at where that tab that says material, turns out that information, I think this was an SAP connection. The bill of materials and all of that data that you see listed there, plant and valuation type and things like that, that information is actually not put either in the assembly or even in the Vault. It's actually being viewed here and even edited here by association with the record that lives over in this case, I think SAP. So you get to see it in the environment that you want to work, right? You were looking at an assembly. You can even, if you look, there's a little button there that says transfer BOM, which fires up a little dialog box, compares the current state of the whole bill of materials, and follows rules that you set up for, which side wins, right? Do you copy it? Do you synchronize it? Do you just publish it? All of that gets to be done right nicely inside your Vault environment, even though you're potentially doing operations that are happening over in your other system. The nice thing about this is that, just like the publishing documents before, we were saying you don't have to worry about ever forgetting to publish your documents. In this case, you don't have to worry about forgetting to update the number of parts on your bill of materials over in that other system when you're done working in your CAD design. You also, and frankly, this is maybe the thing that makes people the most happiest when this is set up this way, is that you actually don't have to fire up the user interface for that other app that you don't live in every day, right? This comes up all the time, especially SAP. Sorry to SAP people, but most engineers would prefer to stay right in here and not have to open up on another window, open up their SAP UI and start cutting and pasting things between the two and trying to decide, wait a minute, what do I call it when it's the cross-plant status is whatever. We can fix all that up in nice little drop-down list in here that makes sense in CAD, and you don't have to worry about that back and forth to your ERP system. All of that is handled at the back end. We do it using the same kind of scripting that we use for the automating tasks in Vault. It's easy to customize, and it's easy to make little changes over time as one or another of your systems changes. The other thing is that the interface is essentially separating the two. It puts a level of abstraction between the two systems. So if you upgrade one or the other, it shouldn't affect the other system too directly, except for if you change capabilities. So really the benefits of doing this is that, again, you're reducing errors because things get done automatically. Once you decide how you want things to get translated between the two systems, it'll do it automatically. You don't have to do the thing where you export a spreadsheet and then you spend a half an hour deciding which thing gets cut where and pasted to where. And you get to stay nice and stay in your nice, clean Vault environment. And really, that's all I wanted to show you today. I think we can open up for questions if you want to. I think type a question into the question box. We'll be happy to answer anything that you want to know. Right now, it doesn't look like we have any questions. Okay. Well, with that, I'll say thank you very much. George and Kristen, thank you for inviting us to talk to you and your customers.
Thank you so much. Have a great day and have a great afternoon and rest of the week, everyone.
Bye-bye.